Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. And today I just want to do a quick discussion video about a subject or a question that I asked quite a bit, probably more so than a lot of the other questions I get on my channel. And that's about the concern with the plating used on Invicta watches. And really, that can go across the board with many watches. And the reason I'm making this video today was because a guy, he dropped me a message this morning, and I told him I would make a video. This goes out to Keon T. Collins. He just said, Fat Cat, I'm interested in gold-plated or gold-plated and or high-polished gold-plated Venom. Kind of like this one right here. And he had said, you know, I see you have a lot of watches in your collection. You have many gold watches. And he just wants to know if there's any sign of fade or the gold wearing off. That's his biggest concern. And so I just wanted to kind of touch base on that and just kind of share with you guys my experience with some of the watches I have. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole process on plating. Invicta doesn't specify on their site exactly what they use. I did a quick Google search for it, and I don't have time to dig through and try to find out exactly what process they use. But most companies either use a gold plating or a PVD plating. And PVD is a different process. It's supposed to be more durable than an actual standard gold electroplating, where electricity is used to actually plate these. Now, I'm not really sure if I know a lot of times when I've seen Invicta watches advertised, a lot of the models, depending on which one you get, they specify this is, you know, coated with so many microns of real gold. And most of the gold watches you get with Invicta are going to be a real gold plating. And what they do is they put down a layer of nickel, and then they put down a layer of gold. And depending on how long they leave it in the solution, determines how thick the gold is. Now, they don't have it listed, and I wish they did, on how many microns the gold is. But what I can do, and I can't answer that for you, what I can do is show you a watch that I had in my collection for over 14 years now, and I used to wear this delivering furniture. I wore this almost every day, and this is just a, you know, a Jacob & Company. It's a replica watch. I got it years ago, and this watch, the plating is definitely wearing off. The buckles, you can see that there's wear on there. There's no flaking, of course, but there is noticeable wear where the finish is either worn through to the, I would assume it's maybe nickel, but you know. And guys, if stuff like this has lasted with the abuse I gave it that long with this wear, I mean, these things are not regulated anyway. They're not made with any sort of quality control. Or I shouldn't say quality control. They're not made with any regulation. I don't condone watches like this. This is something from the past. I would never buy another one, because why would you have to when you have a beautiful company like Invicta and Aragon, all these great watch companies out there. But nonetheless, this watch has been through the test of time, and you know, there's no you know, nothing holding this company liable to say, hey, we're making this product. There's no reputation involved. So what you see is what you get, and this is sold by many websites. You can still buy this, but you know, there's nothing stating that if you have there's no warranty. There's nothing. So a watch like this naturally isn't going to have the quality of something like Invicta or Aragon that puts their name behind something and prides themselves on making a really affordable, fantastic quality watch. And since I showed you that, I just want to show you the Invicta watches I have to kind of reassure you that if you get a gold watch, you're not going to have any issues with it. Now, I have had some people, for instance, just to say it out, to put it out there today, one person, this is Eckhart Krieger, said, no, sorry, wrong guy. My bad. Maria Francis, and this is just, and I picked this watch to share because I can't imagine what kind of issue this person has had. But Maria Francis said she bought a Subaqua Noma 3, and I'm going to show you that. Swiss made exactly 3 months ago. Most of the time I've kept it in the case, and the other day I wore it and it stopped on me. It would restart and stop again. I changed the battery. It still does the same thing. This is not what I would call quality. I'm no expert, but the movement looks very cheap to me. I checked online their warranty and read several horror stories about how they do not honor it. This is my most expensive. This is not my most expensive Invicta, but for me it was a lot of money. I'll never buy another Invicta watch. So this is, you know, this to me is what one of these comments that really just kind of upsets me, because this is not their most expensive Invicta, but yet they wouldn't buy another Invicta, but they have other Invictas and they don't have a problem with. So, you know, where does the logic come in that maybe you just got a bad one? You know, and the fact that they won't honor the warranty, that's absurd. They will honor the warranty. These watches come with a warranty. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be able to send the watch in tomorrow and get it a week later. there may be a turnaround time. I've sent many things. I have amplifiers sent in for repair. You know, and generally with every brand, most brands are not going to just say, hey, you know, now I'm not saying all, but you know, I've had companies where an amp went out and I've argued in order to say, hey, this isn't fair. You know, this amp failed. It's still within warranty. I don't want to pay to have this thing shipped over. Other companies are like, this is our policy. It's part of our warranty. We give you a 5-year warranty, but you got to pay return shipping to and back. And I know that sucks. And I'm not sure what it is with Invicta because of all my over 20, I don't even know how many I have, over 20. I've never had any issues with Invicta at all. And I wear these daily, guys. This doesn't sit in a box. I pull it out once in a while. Now, I get the frustration here about that quality. And we're going to go back to coatings and platings in a second. But I just want to state that my Sub-Aqua Noma 3, where is it? Right here, is over 5 years old. And this watch doesn't work anymore because the battery is dead. But this watch works flawlessly. The battery would still work in this if I would have pulled the crown and put the movement in battery conservation mode. But nonetheless, it doesn't have a working battery right now. But this watch never has failed me. There's no issues with the plating. There's no wear on the watch, and for 5 years, not an issue. So again, you know, use your brain, folks. I don't mean to come across as harsh, but you know. Why would you never? That's like saying I'm never gonna buy another Honda because my timing belt went out. You know, that's why they recommend getting it changed. You know, I'm never gonna buy this because this happened, or like my Honda, my starter went out. Never gonna buy a Honda because the starter went out or the battery died. It's just, you know, it's one issue you've had, and the fact that the watch, you know. I mean, one thing I always do when I get something, I don't buy it and put it in a box and don't use it anymore. I make sure I wear it and give it some time, make sure it's working properly. And it sucks that you got a bad one. It does happen. My coworker got a bad Invicta watch once. He sent it back and he got a replacement. So, you know, you can have good and bad luck with everything. When you're looking at $50 million in sales every year, there's bound to be a watch that's going to be bad. It's across the board. I've had other watches I got sent as samples that have had issues that I've had to get replaced. And those are watches sent for me to review, for God's sake. So, guys, good and bad luck. It happens, okay? Just don't be judgmental. And when you look at the complaints, there's 268 Better Business Bureau complaints, if that's the website this person's talking about, that has been on there for like, since I started with Invicta, over 6 years ago. You know, since I started collecting them. I mean, $50 million in sales, that's a lot of watches. You know, so you guys do the math. But anyway, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. I wouldn't say never buy a brand because of one bad experience. But because I look at all the experience I have and there's no issue. So now let's go back to plating, okay? So now I have a couple watches here. Again, I showed you this Jacob watch with no quality control whatsoever, plating worn off. It happens, right? But it's an old watch. No name behind it. No reputation. Showed you the Sub-Aqua Noma 3. No wear. Let's go over to Sub-Aqua Noma 5. Had this one over 4 years. The only wear you're going to get on a gold watch that is going to be something that will happen quicker is on the clasp where this double locking clasp folds over. There is a friction point on here. It's unavoidable on a plated watch. You're going to get wear where that little indentation, it's designed to have friction on the band and lock in place. You're going to get wear on that. So you're most likely going to get wear on this clasp right here. Although, of all the times I've worn my watches, no wear. And this is going to depend on what you do for work. If you wear your watches at a desk, for instance, I have a glass desk at home. Whenever I'm doing work or I'm on the computer, I usually make a habit of taking the watch off because glass is pretty hard, and you could definitely scratch something with glass. Same thing if you're going to be doing any kind of work somewhere. Be smart about where you wear these watches. If I'm going to be doing anything where, like for instance, here is my Venom for the gentleman who was talking about the polished Venom. No wear at all. Now you are going to get scratches. It's unavoidable to not scratch a polished watch. I mean, on the inside of my jackets, there's a little button. Generally, that button will tend to wear on the watch. So my watches, if they're going to scratch, generally I get a little scratching down on the buckle. And of course, on this one here is a little bit of scratching right over here. But nothing where you look at it and say, oh man, that thing's tore up. Like, not at all. So definitely held up. Another watch I have here is just, it's a sample I'm going to review. It's an inexpensive watch. When you go look at the quality of the coating on something like this, you know, this is made by Winter. You can definitely see the difference in quality here. I mean, but even for the price, I mean, it's not horrible. But when you compare it to the Invicta, there is a difference. The Invicta is a lot nicer. Going over to the Subaqua Specialty, same thing. All gold coating, different finish. You have more of a brushed and satin finish. Again, the only wear point is on the inside edge of the clasp. That's it. No other signs of wear whatsoever. Not even on the inside of your wrist where the watch actually is against your skin. A lot of times that's where a watch will wear as well. Not on any of these Invicta watches. Moving on to a different type of coating. If you go looking at the PVD coating, this one I've had for about 2 years. This is one of my favorite ones. The Abalone. Black mirror polished. If you're going to see any kind of scratching when it comes to, you know, a watch or a coating, you'll see it on a mirror polished watch, but more so on a black mirror polished watch. This is not one that I wear all the time, so I kind of baby this one a little bit. But I mean, really, this thing is held up. There's a few fine scratches, but hardly any. Even where my jacket button is, nothing. Even on the clasp, nothing. So, I mean, something like this, awesome watch, no signs of wear anywhere. And on this one, I can even say that even on the inside of the buckle here, there is no signs of wear. And I just want to check one more thing on this here. So what's kind of cool on this one here, what they did is, and this is probably the reason they did this, to avoid this scratching. Instead of the buckle on this particular one here having the two little indentations that put friction on the band, what they have is a push pin with a spring that actually, I know you can't really see it, but it's right. Let me get a pointer here. I'll show you here. What they've done on this one here is right here, this little silver nipple. That's actually a push button or a push bar on the inside of the buckle, and that puts a little bit of spring tension on the side of the band. It sticks out a little bit, so when you close this, you're not actually having the band scratching the watch. So if you do get any wear, it'll be on the inside of this buckle. You won't even see it. So that's a nice difference they did on this particular model. The other Invictas that I have here in front of me don't do that. I think that's something they do specifically on the, sorry, drew a blank, the Grand Arsenal. So I'll have to check my other one and see if they do that. Now, to get with, to just show you where a couple Invicta watches I have worn, this is my C base. And this, I'm not sure what this is coated with. This is a titanium watch. And this actually has some rose tone. I believe on this one here, the titanium itself is a raw titanium. I don't think there's a plating on that, but again, I'm not 100% certain. But there is a little bit of wear on the clasp right here. And I don't know if you can see that. Kind of point it out to you the best I can here. But a little bit right here. And that's just from being, you know, down on the desk or whatever. And I gotta tell you, that's a little bit disappointing because this watch doesn't get a lot of wear. And I would probably not buy another titanium watch just knowing that it did that. If I was gonna get, or at least a titanium watch that was plated in any way. A lot of times they say that the gold plating adheres better to titanium, but again, you'll have to do your research on that. But that's the only issue I've had with any plating, and again, it's done on a titanium watch, and that's just a little bit of wear. So maybe it was just something they didn't put it on. They didn't put I believe that's PVD coating on this here. So, and I have to say again, my other one, the Grand Arsenal, I have here as well. There's a little bit of wear on this one here, and that's on the edge right here, on the edge, very minimal on the edge of the blue. And a little bit on this buckle. And again, that's where on this watch my jacket would be, the button. And again, you know, I don't really know this one here. I believe this is a PVD coating as well, but being it's a brushed PVD coating, you can see the grain of the stainless steel through it, or the finish through it. So I think that's kind of a factor in why, you know, the colored watches with this coating, I would, you know, I'm not really sure, you know, how great it is longevity-wise, but I mean, I've worn this watch quite a bit, and for metal on metal, anytime you have metal on metal, you're going to get some sort of scratching at some point. Any plating will actually wear off. if it's subject to wear. So, but as far as everywhere else, I mean, the gold watches, no issues whatsoever. And I do believe that's because I think that, you know, just my opinion, I believe that that plating process is, and I know I read online that the PVD coating is supposedly better and more resistant because it's thicker. But in my experience, all my gold watches are flawless, no issues. And my Grand Diver that I have, which is kind of scratched up because it's a mirror polish watch, and that's a pretty old one too. No issues whatsoever. No issues with my Aragon watches. Really no issues with any of my watches when it comes to the plating like wearing off. Again, with the exception of the ones that have this. I don't have a lot of watches that have a lot of color on them. Really, my watches are, a lot of them are gold or stainless. That's my two favorites, or rose tone or whatever. But you know, this one here is the only one with just a teeny bit of wear. So I would probably, you know, if you're gonna, you know, look for durability and you're interested in the gold, I would have no concerns whatsoever when it comes to Invicta's plating process with the gold. And like I said, just because that one's got a little bit of wear due to the metal button on my jacket, you know, it would make me think, however, about, you know, I don't mind things wearing a little bit, because it's not like you're going to have this wear off where the thing's going to look ugly unless you abuse it. And if I could have all these watches for, you know, over up to 5 years and have no issues with them, you know, I just, it cracks me up sometimes when I read stories about people when they're like, you know, failed up to this. I'm like, what are you doing to your watches? Like, I mean, I don't know. But all right, well, I hope that helped alleviate your concerns with the plating process on Invicta. Great watch, great value, fantastic quality. If you want to make a purchase, please do it through my links. Remember to subscribe to the channel. And as always, guys, have a great day. Take care.